In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to join and subdivide or split land, and a gracious thank you to D. Linden of Delicious for letting me play in her sandbox here. So, this raised square above the water is my land. And how do I know that? Because View menu, go up here and select property lines and or landowners. Both of them are complementary. So I select property lines, it shows the border. Yes, in green, that's mine. If I select landowners, then it highlights it all in green, makes it even easier to see. When you're joining and splitting land, it can be useful to keep the landowners on. So, say I want to make a smaller parcel within this bigger parcel, and parcels can have independent settings, which means if I split it, the smaller one will have its own set that can be changed differently, including the name, the description, the options, so on and so forth, including the media as well. If you want to play different movies on different land, then one way to do that is to split it into different parcels. So, I right-click and I choose Edit Terrain. And now, from here, I want to make sure Select Land is selected, and I want to make sure the Subdivide option is also appearing. If it isn't, more, less. And of course, I can hide the owners, but Show Owners is very useful because often you'll be in situations, at least on the mainland, where there's other people adjacent to you, and you want to make sure you're selecting your land and not theirs. Because remember this, if you're going to subdivide and join land, it must all have the same owner, whether that's you as a single resident or if it's group owned and you have the permission to do that. You want to make sure you can't, for example, join land that's owned by two different people. So make sure that's one owner. So now with Select Land selected, I can click and drag. Notice the yellow selector, okay? Wherever I click and drag, it's going to make a yellow square. Click, drag, and release the mouse button. That's left mouse button, by the way. And now I can subdivide. So let's click Subdivide, and it says, okay, I want to divide land. Go for it. And now it says the land has been divided accordingly. And when we zoom in, of course, look at this. Look at this. Okay, it's another green line. And it's still in green, meaning I own all this. But they're two separate parcels. We can also tell this because now if I go up to About Land, then it'll show the area is slightly smaller. You may recall before it was 1,600 square meters. And this part, when I move into it, now I choose About Land again, 144 square meters. Okay, and this one is blank. It has no properties right now. And so I'll call it small parcel. Okay, joining is just the reverse, the inverse of subdividing. So small parcel and large parcel. This one will be large parcel. So it shows it right up there as I cross between the two. Now you may wonder, when I'm joining parcels together, which one has precedence of the setting? Because clearly, they go from having a different setting on each parcel to a single parcel with single settings. Well, generally, I believe it is the biggest parcel. There has been some weird trickiness with that in the past. We've changed things over time, but generally, it is the biggest parcel. Now, to join parcels, you don't have to select the whole parcel, but you just have to select a portion that overlaps both, okay? So if I have Select Land on, and I click and drag again, click and drag, and I select both. Notice, and keep in mind that the smallest amount you can select is 16 square meters. So that's the smallest a land parcel can possibly be in Second Life. If I click and drag and it's highlighted and it's going over the line to be both, then I can join these by clicking Join. Now it will tell me what I need to do, what it's going to do, and indeed I will click OK. And now both, you see the lines have disappeared, have joined, and it just shows large parcel, because I have joined both of those. Let me show you another example of that isn't so obvious, like it would be a parcel next to this one, adjacent to it, but not within it. And that also applies with the same principles. So let's have a look at that. So here we are with another example. Right next to this original large parcel, we have this Humpty Bump. It's a smaller parcel, also owned by me, as we will show. Remember property lines, and you can show also the landowners. Okay, so it's green. And say we want to join this smaller one to this bigger one. And the smaller one has no name as of yet. So when I cross over to it, it's going to be blank name. Okay. It's the same principle as before. Remember, right-click, Edit Terrain, and then just draw the selection, the yellow selection, so it goes over both of them. And then with both of them selected, then again, join. And remember, it doesn't have to be the whole thing selected, it just has to overlap. You can also do this with multiple parcels, by the way. Actually, let me show you that. That would be a neat kind of trick. So to complicate things a bit, but at the same time to reinforce your education of this and your confidence, if I subdivide this into another part, and I subdivide this into another part, so now we're dealing with multiple parcels here, 4 of them total, right? We've got 4 here. So if I am to select, just select all 4 in an almost minimal area, then I can join all of them into one, okay? So here we go. You can join more than one parcel, more than 2. You can join 4 or more, like this, join land. And right here, they all joined into one large parcel. And you see the area has increased. That's how you do it. One more tip I do want to give you is if you're joining stuff underwater, it may be hard to see at times. And sure, you can use the landowners, but if you prefer not to, we have advanced menu, that's Control-Alt-D, or Option Control D on a Mac, and advanced and rendering, and you can temporarily in the types, you can turn off the water. So this lets you see kind of the yellow lines under the water. Otherwise, let me turn that back on. I think this should be a better thing actually. This should be fixed. Types and turn water back on, then you're not going to see it very well. See, it's kind of hard to see unless you're under the water or close to it at certain angles even. But that's how you do it. That's a workaround in case you get confused. Are you wondering if non-contiguous parcels can be joined as the same parcel? Generally, you cannot when there's someone else's land in the middle and they don't share a border. Like right here, you see I own this little green patch and this green island, but I don't own the red stuff in between. I have show landowners on. And if I edit terrain and I try to select this and join it, it will tell me appropriately enough that I selected land with different owners. However, here's an odd case for you. Let me fly over to the big island. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first subdivide this big island and have a rectangle within it, so a smaller parcel, and then I'll split that into another set of smaller parcels. So by selecting the land here, okay, and then I shall subdivide this, yes, and it tells me, okay, it shows me the new parcel with the property lines, the green line right there. Then I'm going to draw a strip down the middle so we can clearly see, like a magic trick, that this bigger parcel has been divided. Now I subdivide again. Now, do you think that makes this a different parcel than this? The fact of the matter is this and this, even though they don't share a contiguous border, they're actually the same parcel. How can I tell this? A couple quick ways is I right-click and I edit the land. And notice the yellow, it selects not only this, but that, which means it's the same parcel. Another quick way to verify is to go to About Land, and we'll call this Split. Okay, so we'll rename it Split, and there it says, part of the name, Split. And then we go to the middle one. Okay, it changes the name to, because it was part of the large parcel, we didn't change the name. We'll change this to just X, meaning the strip in the middle. And the one on the end is, it still says Split, because it's part of the same parcel.